get to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by the NMFTA. Let me ask you a question. Do you ship LTL freight? Then listen up, because the NMFC changes went live on July 19th, and they're the biggest updates in the history of freight classification. Now more than ever, accuracy matters. That's why carriers, shippers, and brokers alike are turning to Class IT Plus, the NMFTA's new digital platform for real-time NMFC data. Stop guessing, start classifying smarter, and quote freight with confidence. It's time to get your ship together because the NMFC changes are already here. Learn more at nmfcchanges.com and get started with Class IT Plus at classitplus.com. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I got a couple of very special guests for you guys here today, and we're going to be breaking down something which I'm very excited about, right? Like, I just want to operate in a level playing field out there. I think that's what I've mentioned this on this show so many times. I want standards increased, and I want to operate on a level playing field, and I don't want any potential loopholes of any levels behind the scenes to allow people to operate in a way that others aren't able to do that. And we're here to talk about SCAC codes. And for those of you who are unaware of it, we're going to educate you on all of that today, the importance of them and where they are going. So I have my friends from the NMFTA on the show. I got Ohr and Holly Taylor on to break all of this stuff down. So you guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Now, I'm looking forward to all of this. So February coming up here. What if I'll kind of let you run with this one here. What is the change that is happening with SCAC codes here starting to? It's February 23rd, correct?
Yeah, it's February 23rd, and I'll start out then pass it over to Holly. So, you know, one of the things is NMFTA has always been a standard setting organization, and one of the things that we are responsible for is SCAC codes. And a lot of people that drive Class 8 are familiar with SCAC codes. A lot of the, even if you're intra-state, you stay within the United States, a lot of the retail industries require SCAC codes. It's a very good security practice. But when you cross border, that's one of the things that they look at. Whether it's land, whether it's water, they look at the SCAC codes, and that helps identify who's bringing the goods across. As we look at freight fraud, as we looked at cargo theft, as we worked within our W&R department, and we talked to people about things like human trafficking, and we talked about fentanyl and drugs, trafficking. You know, one of the things that we kept hearing is, hey, it's not the Class 8. how do you verify, and what can you do to improve the verification? So with Class 8, it's easy. We work with FMCSA DOT. We look at the DOT, we look at the MC, and it gives us a level of verification that's we're comfortable with. We'd like to make it better, but with non-Class 8, we kind of looked at each other and said, you know what, there's more that we can do. So this isn't something where it's like, hey, we can do this to increase our sales, but this is something we can really do to improve the industry. So we're doing something called SCAC verification. So for non-Class 8, they're going to need to do address verification and driver verification. So when they apply for their SCAC code, they're going to hold up a picture of their driver's license, and it's going to look at the picture on the license, their face, and verify that, hey, this is a person that's getting the SCAC code. But then it's also addressing, hey, is the address valid? Are they just giving me an address that is, a warehouse?
Yeah.
Or is this an address that doesn't exist? It's also tied into 42 of the 50 states to make sure it's in the DMV record. So it's doing this extra level of verification, because when you look at a lot of the freight fraud, someone's coming to pick up, let's say, a car that isn't supposed to be picking up the car. If somebody would have just gone that extra mile to do that verification, that would have stopped. Also, if someone would have just verified that address, to say, hey, that's not a valid address, that's a warehouse, or that's a rental unit, that would have really given that person an opportunity. And with that, we're launching a product called SCAC Verify. And Holly, I'll let you talk a little bit about SCAC Verify.
Yeah, so SCAC Verified is kind of like two parts. So we have a current product that's called SCAC Online, which is a directory where you can go and look up SCACs. We are going to take that product and really ramp it up, and it's going to be rebranded as SCAC Verified. And that product is now going to provide not only that full SCAC directory that you had once before, where you get that real-time, status updates on whether or not a SCAC is active or inactive. We're also going to provide you information to let you know how that SCAC was verified. We actually go through two processes, two unique processes to verify the validity of the carrier for that SCAC. Like Joe mentioned, for non-Class 8, we're going to do that ID verification that it's a really simple process. During the apply or the renew, you'll simply, like Joe was saying, have that capture of your government ID. We're going to have that biometric selfie matching along with that ID, and then that address verification. So that's one way that we're going to verify the validity of the carrier's information. The second process is if they have FMCSA details, so the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration details, such as the DOT number, the MC number. If they have those details, we're going to validate against that FMCSA data. So we're going to confirm that your DOT matches what you entered during the application or the renewal process. And so this SCAC Verified we're really ramping it up. We're giving you not only that inactive, active, but we're giving you that verification status. Was it by ID or was it through their FMCSA data?
So what's the big difference then? Like what can people expect between, the old way of just having a code or, seemingly going after the non-Class 8s? I don't know if a lot of them even have a SCAC code. So what's that main difference for those because I always look at it like, as somebody who actually moves freight, most shippers of substance always ask for your SCAC code in the setup process. They do that immediately. So I look at like with where things are, and if you're maybe in that non-Class 8 category right now, and you're like, why do I need a SCAC code? I look at it as this is leaving money on the table if you don't do this, because shippers ask for this way more than people think. And I don't know if it's ever gotten down there. So I guess what is that main difference between like how it's done right now and then what SCAC Verified is going to be able to deliver?
So I think, and I'll jump in. Also, I think what SCAC Verify is, it's that extra level of verification, and you hit the nail on the head. You know, when you're a shipper, you can now go to SCAC Verify, or you can require this, right? And as a carrier or a broker, you can say, hey, are you using SCAC? Are your drivers SCAC verified? You know, from a personal perspective, you know, if I have, like, for example, a car shipped, I moved a while back, and I'm getting ready to again. And I know when I called, or when the person came to pick it up, I'm like, can I see your driver's license? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I want to verify you, right? Because there was nobody to verify, and the company had not verified and was non-class 8. So I had to do that verification myself, because I was about to give my vehicle to somebody. If you're familiar, like, with what happened with Shaq, again, somebody that wasn't verified picked up his vehicle and was able to steal it. If that person would have been SCAC verified, that would have never have happened, right? That would have prevented that. And then we've got that information. So if something does happen, we've got that information. We've got that address. So to your opening point, it really, when you opened up the show, it levels the playing field, but it also keeps things safer, right? This isn't a problem that just goes away. This is something where people are going to have to say, are you verified? Right. So this is just an extra level of verification. So almost like a good housekeeping seal. Oh, are you verified? Yes. So it's not the same as a real ID, but I consider it the same. It gives you a level of comfort that, okay, they've gone this extra step. They have been verified. So at least I know that the address is valid. I know that it's been, the background or the check has been done. It's valid. Holly? Yeah. Oops, sorry, Chris.
No, I was going to say, because somebody just had dropped a question in there about, like, what's the new SCAC rule for non-class 8 fleets? And I think that the fact of the matter is there are people who are able to transport goods across state lines that aren't, I don't want to call them illegal operations, but, like, they don't have to go through the same verification processes as a class 8 truck and trailer. And there's some discrepancies that come along with it, right? Because, you know, again, this is just something that we see out there when we are actively moving freight, is some of these individuals are calling in and they don't actually have an MC. They don't actually have authority, but they are gaining access to this information out there. And it's not, and again, like, if you're on social media at all, and you're on any of these groups on, say, Facebook, for example, it's alarming the amount of people who are trying to transfer freight through groups on Facebook that don't have MCs. Like, I see it every single day, right? And I think, like, from my perspective, in regards to, you know, like, cargo theft, for example, I think that with where things are in the industry right now, and I talk to carriers nonstop on this show, and they all come to the same thing. They're like, we do it the right way, and we feel like we're getting punished for doing it the right way. I look at this as this is just a way for you. If you're running a legitimate business out there, you should have no problem with that. Ironically, all the stuff that the current administration is trying to implement, the only people who are going to have a problem with it are the ones who are doing illegal things. Because otherwise, like, there is no real difference in, if they have a SCAC code prior to this, now there's just an additional step. And I think that is going to lead to higher revenues, because I don't work for the Department of Transportation. I'm not affiliated with the current administration, but I do not think they're going to stop the angle that they are taking with everything right now. And I think that this is a way for individuals to get ahead of it.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, if I'm carrying the loads and I'm trying to get it, I'm using this as a competitive advantage. Even if I'm not crossing the border, hey, I've got my SCAC, I'm SCAC verified. I can be trusted. And again, we know that there are several major retailers that already are doing this with Class 8. It's a must. You cannot carry for these companies unless you have a SCAC. And we expect the same thing to happen with non-Class 8 now. Because it's an extra level of verification.
Yeah, it's like I had mentioned earlier, it is not uncommon at all for shippers to request that during the onboarding process. I deal with it every single time we onboard a new customer. They ask for all of that information to ensure that we are who we say that we are. And again, it's just like, I want to sit here and think that like everything's just a perfect world and nothing goes wrong, but like it goes wrong all the time. And you want to make sure that the people you're doing business with are the ones who like they are who they say they are. So Holly, I know you had some stuff to add in there. Sorry. I just wanted to interject that in there.
No, you guys are great. This is all really good stuff. I mean, I'm probably just going to repeat, but you know, from our side, we're trying to build out this process in our product, this ID verification process for non-Class 8 to be as simple as possible. We don't want to overcomplicate this. You know, we're going to do all the work on our end to make sure that the verification is complete. But we just want people to know that this is not something that's going to add on, you know, tens of minutes to them. This is literally something that's going to take them a minute, 2 minutes. They're going to upload, you know, take that picture of their ID. We're going to grab it. Boom, we're going to take that and we're going to do all that verification on the back end, something that'll probably take 1 to 3 minutes. And, you know, if it all matches up, you're going to be done quite quickly. And then you're going to be able to proceed. You're going to be able to purchase that SCAC. You're going to be able to renew that SCAC. And by combining all of these verification methods, we're really helping to reduce the risk of like those ghost carriers, those fraudulent operations. We're, you know, our goal is to increase the trust of carriers, shippers, and brokers, like everyone in the industry. You know, our goal is to just give that assurance and increase trust.
Mm-hmm. So like with the February deadline approaching, what happens to a non-Class 8 carrier who has an active SCAC today, but doesn't complete that verification process at their next renewal?
Yeah. So, so that's a really good question. So we're going to be launching this at the end of February. That doesn't mean that everyone has to comply right away at the end of February. Essentially, the compliance is at your renewal. So at time of renewal, if you are required to go through the ID verification and you cannot complete it, then you cannot renew. It is very simple, but I want everyone to know that we are here. We have a complete team standing by to help answer questions. Our goal is to get everyone renewed and verified successfully. So if there's ever any questions, please just reach out. You know, and it's a really simple process. So hopefully everyone you know, can either complete it on their own or reach out and ask questions if they have any.
Was there how did you guys choose the non-Class 8 route first? Was there some just internal conversations? I mean, you guys are in DC. Was there a need to be like, hey, we kind of got to get this all in line here? What was that? You know, because again, anything under essentially 33,000 pounds that is out there. So your sprinters, box trucks, hotshots, stuff along those lines are all going to be under the microscope.
Yeah, it was really, I think it was over the summer. We've been doing a lot with freight fraud. We had somebody come at a WNR meeting and speak about drug trafficking. And he said that 90% of it is non-Class 8. And then we went back and we were looking at, well, how do we verify, you know, what's the level of verification that's done on Class 8 versus Class 7? And because non-Class 8 does not have to have a MCDOT number, there's a lack of verification. And so, you know, in discussions with Border, they can't do as much on their side either. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, they can't do it. We're not doing it. Somebody needs to step up and do it. So we kind of looked at each other and said, okay, we really need to do this. How fast can we transition off of Class IT Plus and move over to SCAC, which, you know, we were like gotten away from SCAC for a while, which was very hard for some people. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to jump back on SCAC again. but it was really, again, it was an industry need, because it's like we just looked at each other and said, wow, there's a really big gap here. And you go back and you think about all the things that could happen, and you want to fill the gap. And again, I didn't. We reached out. We had discussions with FMCSA, DOT. We've even discussed this approach with the White House in a meeting, and said, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. They're like, God, this totally makes sense. There is a gap here. So it seemed like everybody had recognized it, but nobody had an opportunity to do something. So we just saw it as an opportunity, again, to close a gap that had always been there.
Mm-hmm. And I think, again, it's important to note that I understand how some people out there are like, oh, this is just another thing, right? But I don't think this is the normal times that I think people fail to realize the direction of where things are currently in the industry in regards to identity, being able to prove that you are who you say you are. And I personally think, again, to tie in with where and what the current administration is doing, I do not think they are going to stop with what they're doing at all. If anything, they're going to continue to push harder at this, because I cannot tell you the amount of legitimate companies that are out there who are like, I don't even know what, I feel like I'm being punished for everything that all these hoops that I have to jump through now. And it seems to me that this is the logical next step in the iteration, that the FMCSA, DOT are going to utilize their current tools to be like, no, these guys are verified. They've taken that additional step. I personally think with where the freight market is and where it's heading, this is going to lead to a premium. Like, as a carrier, you're going to be able to charge more out there in the market the more and more this goes down, because I think that we're at a very unique time when it comes to fraud and theft, that it's not slowing down at all. If anything, it's increasing. And I think the more of the spotlight that is shown and shined on this, it's going to continue to push these guys to operate in this manner. So I look at, what can you do? How can you show that you are who you say you are? And this is it's a quick step, right? Like, if you're already doing government freight, and that's another thing too, I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be 100% required here moving forward, with the security breach that they found on the government load that was being shipped by a non-domiciled CDL driver who didn't actually have a CDL. So there is going to be a major cleanup that is going to be happening here.
Yeah, I mean, we had, you made a comment too. We were in a meeting from a cyber perspective, where a lot of the Department of Defense, a lot of the carriers that carry nuclear, anything nuclear, and they were talking about it, and that's what they said, is they're like, hey, we kind of feel like we're being punished for, playing by the rules. And how can we level that playing field? And I think that's really the goal. And I also hope that the insurance industry takes a look at this too, because to me, it's an opportunity, because all of us pay, more for our goods. A lot of the carriers pay more in insurance rates because of bad actors. And so if you adopt standards like this, it tightens up things. It makes things better, which should improve insurance rates, because that's the other thing. The insurance rates are out of control. So if you can put steps in place to help that, so it almost becomes like a good student discount, right? Yeah. You get a cut rate on your insurance. So this isn't something where it costs a ton of money to do. It's really, again, just a quick process. And again, if I'm a major retailer, or I'm even a small retailer, or I'm shipping a high value product, I'm also going to buy SCAC Verify, because I want to be able to look to make sure what I'm being told is accurate, and that the people I'm dealing with are the people that they say they are. This is a really quick, easy way to do it. And the other thing is, there's a lot of people to say, well, what are they doing with this information? We don't store it. It's transactional. The verification is done offsite by a partner of ours, but we don't store the data. We don't store the license information, the pictures, or any of that stuff. So, privacy isn't a concern. It's just a verification. Once a verification's done, it's done, right? We don't store that information. So, people don't have to be worried about, where's their data going? Is it just yet another thing where NMFTA does NMFTA have my data? And it's like, nope, the verification's done. And then, it's not stored in our database. So it's just a really quick, secure way to do a verification.
So like, I think one thing there's been an absolute rise in is, the impersonation of carriers out there in the market. How does this prevent, or like if a bad actor tries to hijack somebody's identity, because that's a very real thing that happens on a daily basis now, it seems, out there. How does this alert the real owner of the company that, like, hey, FYI, your stuff's been breached?
So what it would do is it would not pass SCAC verification. So let's say if it was a non-class 8, this person is going to try, it would trigger it because it's like, hey, this person's trying to register a duplicate SCAC. So we would trigger that. And then the other thing is they're going to have to show a copy of their license. So they're giving up a digital trail. They can't do this. They can't do this with a fake anything, right? It's making sure that this license is valid. So we're making sure it's not a duplicate SCAC, but then we're also creating a paper trail where if someone then comes in later, let's say it's a legitimate company, then it will flag it, and we've got this person. And I mean, that's the biggest problem, as you know, is a lot of times there's not a paper trail. This creates that paper trail. We've got the picture, we've got the license, we've got the selfie, we've got the address, we've got the verified address. So, a lot of this comes down to accountability. We've created this paper trail that is then a level of accountability that does not exist today.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think that is my big takeaway from a lot of this is your ability to verify that you are who you say you are is going to be increasingly valuable here moving forward, because I just don't see any of the current climate of fraud, identity theft. It's not going to slow down at all. I unfortunately am of the opinion that it is going to get way worse before it gets better. And I look at it as there's so many hardworking men and women in this industry that invest a lot of money to get their trucks up and running and everything else. And I look at it as this isn't another hoop to jump through. This is a way to prove your validity out there in the market and protect the integrity of your company. Because how many times have we heard I know this answer, over the last 12 months of somebody was operating under my authority. They hacked my information, and then they booked 20 loads, ruined my credit. Now I'm out of business because of that. And this is what I don't want to see happen anymore. I'm so sick and tired of seeing hardworking men and women lose everything because of these cyber criminals and criminals that are out there. And this is just a way for me that I think helps prove your validity just one step further in a direction that I wouldn't be surprised if will be a rule by the FMCSA in the next probably 5. Well, we'll go 10 years because DC doesn't exactly move fast sometimes. But like, I just think of this as a way for individuals to get ahead of it. And that's what we need to do. You need to stand out and like, hey guys, I am who I say I am. I'm legitimate. I am valid. And especially in the sprinter, box truck, hotshot thing where it's like, if you're out there and it's only a matter of time before you're going to be held to the exact same standards that the Class 8 carriers are. You might be getting away with it right now, but it's only a matter of time. If you're going to be able to if you're going to want to operate out there, you're going to be held to these exact same standards.
Yeah, and it's it's part of it is sad, right? We don't live in a world anymore where we don't have. It used to be, hey, every once in a while you got to prove you are who you are. Anymore, you constantly have to be proving you are who you are, and it's not the opposite. And so that's why we created the product. so that you had the opportunity to prove you are who you are without a bunch of paperwork, without a bunch of, again, it's all about creating a standard that everybody recognizes. And SCAC's been around for a really long time, so it's something everybody recognizes. So it just made sense to do it this way.
Standards are a good thing at the end of the day. We need more of them, actually, in my opinion, out there. And it's a great step in the right direction, because that's all I ask for when I'm out there trying to build my company, right? I want everybody held to the exact same standards. I don't want loopholes for anybody to be able to operate their business in a way that contradicts the way that I'm held to those standards that are out there. And again, I look at it like this: if you're doing everything legally, you're going to be fine, right? But the people who this is obviously going to probably upset are the ones who are fraudulent and running a below the table operation. And we don't need them on our nation's freeways at the end of the day. We do not need them out there gaining access to our supply chain at all. So I think this is a great step. And, as we're kind of closing up, you guys have any final thoughts or anything like that? I think that, how do people reach out to find out more? How do they get ahead of this? Is this something that they can sign up for now, or is it in February?
Yeah, so we actually have a webinar coming up in 2 weeks. So if you go to nmfta.org and go to events, you'll find our Ask Us Anything webinar, where literally it is just ask us anything. It'll be an hour-long webinar where we give more details about this very topic. And then we just have an open floor where you guys can just ask us any questions you may have. Like I said, nmfta.org, we have a lot of information being shared. February is going to be a big month for us. We have the webinar. Each week we'll be releasing more and more information. We have newsletters. So if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, please go to nmfta.org and subscribe. We'll be sending out additional details. Again, February, we're just going to be bombarding everyone with as much information as possible so that everyone is prepared.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you guys so much for all your time today. And if you guys can't find them out there at all, or access to those webinars, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in direct contact with them. But that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the back.